Everyone, it's Friday. It's about 9 o'clock and well, half 8 here in Ukraine. My name's Joe McDonald. I'm British. I'm going to be 43 in a few weeks, and I'm a combat veteran who's still in Ukraine after serving 2 years in Kherson and 8 months with the Legion in Kharkiv. So, hope everyone's well. I thought I'd do a live stream because I've been trying to make like normal long form content videos at the moment, and I don't have a team of researchers and stuff like the big channels do, and that's why they're able to get this like accurate, well reported content out so quickly. You know, Preston Stewart, people like that. Great channel, by the way. Nothing against the guy, but I've been trying to write an article about how some of you may remember me talking about the numbers with water and what the figures are with water and how many lorries or tankers you need to transport that water into Crimea to sustain the population. So I started doing some numbers about the oil, and the rate we're destroying refineries is fucking up my article. Like about 10 days ago, we damaged Russia's refinery capability so that they were under the barrels per day figure of what they need to refine, what barrels a day of crude they need to refine to provide the absolute bare minimum needs for the country. And we'd already hit that, and I was writing an article to explain that, and then we've destroyed more. So it's gone from we've destroyed a third of the refinery capability to almost 50% of the refinery capability. And these aren't things that you can just make. You know, one does not simply knock up a new oil refinery. You're looking at 5 to 10 years minimum, you know. So this is not just a short-term blow we've dealt to Russia, but a long-term blow, which pleases me greatly. But there's so many other figures about what we've affected, you know, the destruction of basically, I think it's about 70% of the whole Navy now, and like over 90% of the Black Sea Fleet is destroyed. You know, you can't just click your fingers and pump out new warships. They're not AKs and anti-tank mines. So, the pace of the war is going really, really well. And so's the workshop. The workshop's going out. Oh, thanks. Thank you, Stuart. Stuart Tranter. I've got a mate from my hometown called Tranter. Do you know any people from your family name in the northwest of England? I'm just curious. But yeah, I had a shave and a haircut. It generally has that effect. I do not feel 10 years younger though. My health, as some of you may have seen my post or the last video I did, which is basically my health has been my physical health has been degrading greatly recently. Essentially, what happens to a lot of people, to some but not everyone, when you're close to explosions, is you get little tiny like micro fractures in your skull, and I've had a lot of them. My skull under a MRI looks like a fucking and an ultrasound looks like an egg that's been cracked, but has retained its shape. So All right, well, hello, Stuart. Well, say hello to Andy for me when you see him, you know, if you are his brother. But yeah, he's from El Porto, so perhaps you know him. So basically these cracks in my skull have got scar tissue growing in it. And as time goes on, this is making my physical condition worse. I have permanently got a headache. I literally can't go into a supermarket with fluorescent or LED lights and the hum of the fridges now without getting an instant fucking migraine. And you know, sunglasses help a little bit, but not all the time, not everywhere. As Catty Faye has just said the problem with this operation is it's not a one-off thing. It might have to be redone in X amount of time, depending on how quick the scar tissue grows. And it's also, they're going inside your skull. So they're getting, from what I understand, keyhole stuff and like going inside your skull in between the brain and the skull and like scraping the scar tissue off, which is obviously a dangerous operation. And there is a chance that you'll come out of it worse, So, yeah. This thing you hear about not everyone's war injuries being visible, and people dying of the wombs or falling sick from the wombs a lot later. Well, now I very much understand what all that's about. So yeah, not great, to be honest. I've been coming to terms with the fact I'm now basically a disabled person for the last couple of weeks. But yeah, in good news, the factory is almost there. I mean, every day we achieve something, we sort of find a new problem. We're getting them. The two main guys who work for me, the brothers Yura and Feeder, are fantastic engineers and welders, and just they've always got a solution for things. So that's good. As I say, my own personal physical condition not great. I'm still kind of screwed with the paperwork side of things as well. The Marines rather, didn't put one little stamp in my green book. And this stops me getting residency. It also means I can only get free healthcare here if like the hospital manager is willing to look past that paperwork detail until it's resolved. And she was last time. Right now she's on holiday. And because of that lack of bit of paper, I can't go to any of the medical retreat kind of specialist things that the Ukraine government have set up for people like me. So I was offered a place at one in Latvia the other day, like really good neurologists, proper doctors there. Can't go because of this one fucking stamp. Do you know what I mean? Got a combat veteran pass, got a bunch of medals, one of them signed by Zelensky, for fuck's sake. But because of one tiny little bit of bureaucracy, I am kind of cut off. Hello, Mordor Madness. You've got a monetization payment heading to me. Well, Joe, it's always the workshop does always need money, but I've been glad to see that you've been supporting people. To be honest, mate, right now I think if we can get it to him before he gets deployed again, Brit, the young British lad from Mission Ukraine, I'd really like him to get that thermal. So if you could all go over to his channel, it's the Ukraine Mission or Mission Ukraine. I know I should put a link in the description, but I don't know how to do that when I'm on live stream. Just have a Google. And he's the one who's been on Why Ukraine's channel a lot. So yeah. Trojan Chef. Cheers from Finland, man. What's that date? Oh yeah, but yeah, I'm not sure. Well, I don't know exactly when Brit gets deployed, but soon. And I would really like him to be able to get that thermal. I'm thoroughly proud of that guy. I'm not the only reason he came to Ukraine, but my videos are part of it. And he bothered to reach out to me, and he took what I said to Art. Don't get yourself in with a bunch of foreigners who all want to create this bullshit brother, we're all brothers thing, because they'll all fucking drop you like a hot brick when the artillery gets hot. Get yourself in a Ukrainian unit, learn the language and apply yourself, and you'll be able to do the kind of soldiering you want to. And it's exactly what he did. And now he's in one of the best recon units in the military, doing long range, proper on foot deep penetration in really rough terrain where it's hard for the drones to find him, which is impressive as fuck. So why can't the British government send 5? Well, that's a good question. You'd have to ask them, mate. Yeah, this isn't an Israel-Palestine conflict channel. I kind of say fuck both sides. I literally don't have a horse in that race anymore. Don't care. So yeah, go find another channel to talk about that, mate. You know, fuck them both. As far as I'm concerned, the world would be better off with that whole fucking area. You know, nuke it again and again and again until it's a big hole in the ground. Fill it with water from the melting ice caps. Call it Lake America. There's a sit please solution for the Middle East. Are the allegations true? What allegations? Oh shit! I just saw. Well, the North Korean missiles, 2909 DK. If people aren't aware, because the story only broke like 45 minutes ago, it appears Directorate of Intelligence or some of our other special forces guys have blown up a massive train with multiple bombs that was carrying a lot of missiles from North Korea to Russia to be fired into Ukraine, and the personnel that was on board as well. So yeah, we're 6,000 kilometers into Russia, that operation is. So yeah, banging result for today. But yeah, hello Parallel. Americans forgot around. I mean, the missiles that the Iranians have got from the Yanks were old, but yeah, Iran did not do. The Americans have not done well with the Iran campaign as well, and the only thing I'm glad about is that I think the generals realised how fucking stupid it was to try and invade Iran and told Trump to fuck off, because I think, you know, if you look at the Straits of Hormuz, if you look at the terrain there, especially if you look at Qasem Island, which is right next to Hormuz Island, Qasem Island is fucking Okinawa. It's got swamps, it's got crocodiles, it's got two of the longest cave systems in the world. The whole thing's a fort. It'd cost you 50,000 dudes to take that. And America is not ready to lose 50,000 dudes in 6 months. It's not ready to see those great big landing craft they have go into land on the beach and get hit by half a dozen FPVs. And the last footage that the world sees is American soldiers going, ah, like that. Thank God that cooler heads prevailed and there wasn't a ground invasion of Iran, because it would have killed a lot of brave American boys and girls who shouldn't have been sent into that mess. And it would have killed a lot of Iranian civilians as well who don't deserve to be part of it as well. I mean, fuck the Revolutionary Guard and the regime, but there's always a lot of normal people in the way, aren't there? Yeah, the thank you Blur 101. The Latvia thing got fucked up because I am missing one tiny little ink stamp in my army ID, which apparently is going to be getting done any day now, but that's been the situation for like a year. So yeah, I am in like a paperwork limbo at the moment. Can you recommend any Ukrainian beer? Yes, Drofer from Kherson, Transcarpathia from Transcarpathia. Both lovely, and it's normally about 5.5%. But if you go, there's the main thing if you're in Ukraine is they have like microbrewery beer in these little shops for sale everywhere. And a lot of that can be a lot stronger. But I don't really drink much now because it makes me feel like fucking crap, like with my physical condition. A 4 beer hangover now is like a 12 beer hangover to me. So I haven't had a drink for like... I'll tell a lie, Harley from UAEOD visited me last night. He just popped by and stayed in the mountains for one day with me. So I had 4 beers last night with Harley, and that required a 5-hour nap this afternoon to recover from. So yeah, I'm not a strapping young lad who can drink 12 pints and go to work at 6 in the morning the next day anymore. Hiring if anyone makes it in country, destitute. What are you hiring for? Benzinger, well, I will be going to the local hospital to have like more tests and a neurologist assessment, and then they might do surgery on me at the local hospital or another hospital in Ukraine. But I can't go to Latvia at the moment. And yeah, I'm also like, frank, like the idea of someone doing fucking brain surgery on me is like, the idea of like waking up and being a fucking retard for the rest of my life and not being able to end it because you're now a fucking retard, you know, you don't have the capability to end X yourself, terrifies me. Terrifies me. If my lungs weren't so fucked, I'd seriously be considering rejoining an assault or mine-laying sapper unit at the moment, but I can't because I'm not fit enough, and I can't be fit enough to rejoin the military. So yeah, not saying I'm mentally okay, but I can't say I'm fucking happy about the situation. Thank you, Trojan Chef. You have a good day. You have a good evening, mate. And I hope. No, the new haircut isn't medically related, but yeah, I hope you have a great evening, mate. And thank you for the support. Really do. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Hello, DW787. Yes, I have lived in Germany for many years. And the reason I left Germany was dealing with the Amt, or the 27 different Amt, which means authority, so government office that deals with an aspect of the bureaucracy of someone's life. And for me to do my food, I had a ginger syrup business I set up in Germany years ago, and when I tried to make it fully legal and paperwork, oh God, it was like trying to climb a mountain of slippy letters. You know, every time you got a meter up, there'd just be another letter slide, and now you got 10 more forms to do. So yeah, Germany for me was a great girlfriend, but not for the marriage. Too many fucking forms, you know. And Ukraine, although it does have this online system called DIA, which means technically you don't need to go to all the offices, it only works in Ukrainian. So I do. And because I am in a weird state at the moment because I don't have a residency and I'm not a citizen here. But I do have a combat veteran pass. So I'm a combat veteran, which is technically one of the most honourable and highest places in Ukrainian society. But technically, I'm a guy who's overstaying his tourist visa at the moment. But it's fine. You know what I mean? The cops and the police don't give a shit. Combat veteran, do what you want. And you make bombs for the army, so you definitely do what you want. But still, pain in the arse. I hate paperwork. I like what you said, Blur, about the brain scan. Yeah. Hello, hello, Honduras. Wow, we've got some Honduras. Honduras is in Cuba, right? Is that correct? RR4, Honduras is in Cuba. God, I probably should. Am I right? I probably should check that. But yeah, click the like button, everyone. And thank you, Mordor Madness, for supporting Brit. And if anyone was about to drop 20 quid towards me or whatever, please go and send it over to Brit. Like, I always need more money for the workshop, and the more money I've got, the more things I can do and the quicker I can get them done. But that young man is about to go off to do proper recon at the front, and it'd be fucking great if he had that thermal. It's a really good one. It like integrates the thermal with your night vision binocular, and you can like take it off, put it on your rifle. Top end. There's a company called Falcon Claw who produce them, and they do all these cool videos about different ways that how thermal works in the field. So yeah, it'd be really great if we can get Brit. Brit's the closest thing I've got to a son at the end of the day. So yeah, I'd like my boy to go off to war properly equipped. Here from Ireland, Polish originally. How regular civilian jobs in Ukraine? Well, there's a lot of work here at the moment. For instance, one of the major holdups with my workshop has been getting an electrician. There's only 2 in this whole fucking region of Ukraine. No, Nino Brown, I'm not on the front line. I run a workshop in Western Ukraine. I was on the making bombs for the army, but I was on the front for 2 years in Kherson and 8 months in the thing. Brit's channel is like the Ukraine mission or Mission Ukraine. Maybe Mordor Madness can put a link in the comments for people because you guys are free. But yeah, if you go on his channel, have a little poke around, you'll be able to find a link. The Ukraine mission, yeah, the Ukraine mission. So go and have a look at the Ukraine mission. Try and bung Brit over at a few quid. He's a top fucking lad, really deserves it, you know, brave man. And someone who applied himself so he could speak Ukrainian well enough to function within a Ukrainian recon unit. Because guess what? You might be the best soldier in the fucking world, but if you know hablo español, then no bueno, you know? As a mechanical engineer, could I do work with defence companies, or is that through the military only? I don't know much about the private military sector here. If you're talking about fixing cars, then and there's stuff like that. There's no end of jobs like that in Ukraine for sure, and I think they're earning better money than they used to. But you'll probably, I mean, I don't know. Like I think a successful mechanic probably makes like £1,000 a month here. Are there Muslims in Ukraine? Few. The Crimean Tatar population is Muslim. We do have some Muslim soldiers in the army, but like very, very few. I think it's probably like less than 1% of Ukraine is Muslim. Is Ukraine making progress on the front line? Well, we're holding the front line and we're cutting off supplies to Crimea and fuel and destroying Russia's oil refinery. And that's the thing. Russia can make 500,000 more AKs and 500,000 more uniforms, but they haven't got the diesel to move those men around. They're really no threat to anyone. Go on. Try using that Russian masculine stoicism and bravery to march the guys down the road in a nice fucking column like Napoleon did. See what happens. You know what I mean? No diesel, no fucking use, those guys whatsoever. What would I do with an extra grand or so for the workshop? I'd buy more 65mm pipe so we can make bigger bombs for the medium strike, and then I'd get the copper penetrators and all the bits to make larger bombs for the medium strike campaign. Right now we've got all the material to make 1.5 kilograms, like blondage busters, light vehicle busters, that kind of thing. Russia's damaging Ukrainian logistics. That's simply not true. Simply not true. Do I have an opinion on Russia going after Armenia? I mean, I wouldn't be. I don't know if they've got enough people to do it. You know, like honestly, I don't know if Russia really wanted to invade, say, Armenia or Azerbaijan or Georgia or all three of those places. I don't think they've got it in them right now. I don't think they've got the manpower. I don't think they've got the reserves. It's one thing to have a guy in a uniform with a gun who's in the army, but is he motivated to fight? That's another thing. So no, I don't think they actually fucking could. Do we have heating sorted out for the workshop in the winter? Yeah, wood burners. But actually, the solar system, the battery pack that I got with the solar system is actually only charging to half at the moment. So we need to fucking sort that out. Apparently, we had some cold nights recently, and we did actually get like a tiny little summer frost, which I wasn't expecting. And apparently, if the battery pack drops to 0, it can really affect it. So, fuck, do you know what I mean? It was like a 1,500 quid battery pack, that. So I really hope I haven't fucked it up and it's just some technical issue. Is Ukraine becoming full of tiny hats? No, not at all. Why didn't Ukraine blow all the bridges and rail early in the war? Well, that is what you might call an expansive question. The reason the bridge didn't get blown in Kherson was treason, basically. And that's why Kherson fell. And Kherson is the only city that the Russians have taken that's in any way intact because of that. Everywhere else they've taken has been a pile of rubble by the time they've actually taken it. So, yeah. How strict is the Ukrainian government being about electrical credentials right now? I mean, if you're talking about doing domestic jobs, private jobs, not at all. There's basically no fucking building regulations over here. But the problem with any work in Ukraine is you need to be able to speak you need to be able to speak a Slavic language at the very least. If you spoke Polish or something, you'd probably be able to get by here. But it's you can't just you need the language to do the job. Jeffrey Epstein official. Hello, Jeffrey. Great employer. He was. Did a lot for the mercenary community. How's things going, Palm Beach Pete, these days? You know, I thought there was a Shaheed coming over. Then we do get them occasionally. What brand of cigs am I smoking? I smoke Lucky Strikes, and I smoke the Lucky Strike Armiska, the Lucky Strike Green, which was they brought out in 22 as a sort of nod to the fact that Ukraine is fighting Russia. So you can't get them in Russia, but you can get them in Ukraine, as far as I know. Is most of the boom material in your products repurposed from other audience? We don't actually put the explosives in here or the fuses. That's done at a different location. But yeah, mostly. Ukraine has actually started. Ukraine announced a couple of months ago that we were setting up domestic explosive production. Now, I already know a few units who've got their own explosive production that they set up, you know, because they happen to have some guys who'd studied chemistry in the unit and they had the capabilities, so they went and did it. A friend of mine in the 37th, yeah, Lieutenant Andre, he's got his own RDX production somewhere. So yeah, but most of like if all the 99% of the sapper, like I have as someone who as a sapper, I have deactivated like on the ground one landmine that I found. Most of my work was the teams that go out and find the stuff, then bring it back to our workshop where we further make it safe. Sometimes it isn't made safe, sometimes it is. And then get the explosives out, melt it down, and pour it into other bombs. Basically, that's what we did. So we were explosive recyclers. Would Ukraine work with the Chechens? Ukraine has a Chechen battalion. I have a patch for them in my car. It's the Sheikh Mansour battalion. So yes, we've had Chechens fighting for us since 2022. How come I couldn't go to the retreat? Because I'm missing one stamp in my Army Green Book. And until that stamp is done, then I can't get that shit. Also, when I got my injuries in the military, our medic at the time was this horrible fucking bitch who hated everyone and was an alcoholic. So I didn't go to her. I just called up a doctor who Brandon knew called Steve, American guy who was serving with another unit, and got advice from him on how to personally treat my TBI. So probably smarter from the point of view of not putting my physical health in the hands of someone who hated me. But, you know, now I don't have it that I was actually received these injuries in the army. So, yeah, no, I'm not Ukrainian. I'm British. You can tell by the accent. Yeah, the stamp is meant to be, Liam the Caveman, the stamp is meant to be getting done by like the high end of the TCK, who are also the constitutional, the mobilization people are also the constitutional law people. Meh, bureaucracy, I don't understand it. But apparently they're going to do it soon. And that means everything's fine then. Then I'm entitled to residency, I can own a business, I can buy property, I can have a gun license if I want, etc., etc. So yeah, and yes, I will get a gun license. 22, an AR-15 in 308, and probably 2 shotguns. What part of England am I from? The northwest, near Liverpool. Hello. Hello, Virginia, boys, you know. I was watching some clips of Gods and Generals the other day, and I'm like, nothing matters more than America except Virginia. So yeah, it must be a really, really nice place. Let's see, have I missed any good questions here? I don't know what NATO wants to do. NATO's a fucking committee. Do you know what I mean? But I put it like this: although we really are low on manpower, things are bad, things are tough. The idea of NATO just steaming in now, like the fucking Yanks did in the Second World War, and then the next 80 to 100 years of films will make it look like they won it all, would actually piss me off, you know? Like it wasn't just the US Marines who won the Pacific campaign. There were lots and lots of troops from Britain and the Commonwealth and the US Army for that matter who seem to get ignored. So yeah, suddenly the British Army and that turning up and finishing the last 10% of the war for us and then taking it all gory would actually fucking piss me off. Just send us more fucking guns, please. Or yeah, I mean, it also would be so difficult to, because language is key to understanding what the person you're doing with, what you're working with, is fucking doing, right? Do you know what I mean? You could have two nuclear scientists who are both highly competent, but if one of them only speaks Pakistani and the other one only speaks Hindi, they're not going to be able to understand what they're fucking doing, are they? So, you know, sending like units from Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania and Poland and Romania and all those other places that basically speak a Slavic language, that would be useful. Those guys could take over the border security and the coastal security we have to do. They could take over checkpoint duty in Ukraine. They could free up a massive amount of guys. Whereas a British or American soldier, what the fuck's he going to do on a checkpoint in Ukraine? He doesn't speak the language. He can't read Cyrillic. You know what I mean? So yeah, I unsubscribed because I'm frightened. Well, good for you. How's the book getting on? This is one of the things with the head injury. It makes it very, very difficult for me to keep the flow going while I'm writing. Really difficult. And yeah, I try. We had a representative of, not a representative officially, but someone who is sometimes an official representative of King Charles of England, come and visit us recently. And I have it in my mind that writing a letter to the King explaining that guys like me and Brit and the other British people who've come to fight for Ukraine are a little worried that the legal and political climate might change in the future, especially if reform come in. And it would be nice if His Majesty showed some form of support or recognition of our work for us, hopefully, you know. And I can't get it done. Do you know what I mean? I keep going off in tangents and forgetting what I'm writing. So yeah, welcome to being mentally disabled. It fucking sucks, you know. Why am I racist? I'm not racist. I don't have any particular people, religion or country of which I hate the people of, not even the Russians. All they've got to do for me to stop helping kill them is turn around and go home and apologize, pay Ukraine a lot of money. Mercury. Oh, another ex-legionnaire. Advice for coming back. Well, fitness and finances and language. You know that. Be fit. Spend your time learning Ukrainian. And, you know, it's the key to unlocking promotion and training, speaking the language, basically. And when you get into Ukraine, go and do some drone courses. If you've absolutely got your heart set on rejoining as infantry, then that's your bag. But I would say, you know, there are really, really good drone courses that are just available to anyone who's in Ukraine and, you know, isn't obviously a spy. Now, We True Gun in Ivano-Frankivsk has a website, for instance. There's another one called Dragonfly or Fly Dragon in Kyiv. They've got a website. So, you know, do a drone course, basically. Yeah, unless you really, really want to just stay with being infantry and then, you know, Is there a place for Israelis in the Ukrainian army? Never met one over here, but I can't think of a reason why not. I don't think they're on the banned list. Whether they would encounter legal problems in Israel when they went back, I have no idea. You know, Israel isn't the sort of place where you want to be fucking around with things that might get you sent to prison. It's like, you know, the Swiss sent one of my friends to prison for serving over here, and he did like 2 fucking weeks and they let him go, you know. So yeah. It is possible, Alona Civ, it is possible to, I guess, get a ghostwriter or something in, but one does not simply anything. You know, one of the hardest things about any job is the human resources aspect of it, i.e., can you work with that person? You know, some of you may remember a while ago, I had an admin, and the minute I gave them an inch, they took a fucking mile, you know. So yeah, it's not easy to find someone to work with, especially on something that is essentially a creative, artistic project, you know. You work with mostly American weapons? Hardly any. Hardly any. Most of the stuff I used an M4, and we had some M67 grenades. Saw a couple of Javins floating around. That's about it. Nearly everything I've worked with over here has been Warsaw Pact USSR origin. And yes, I was a drone operator, Cure 427. If you want to look at some of the other videos on the channel, you can see me hunting your mates like dogs. What racism? I mean, in all fairness, this is one of the things. Let's talk about racism and Islam and Russia. A lot of pro-Russian people in Britain seem to bang on that Russia's got it right somehow and the UK is being overrun by Muslim. Britain is just under 6% Islamic. Russia is just under 20% Islamic. And a lot of the guys in the Russian army are from Russia's satellite federation countries, Kazakhstan, Siberia, etc. And they aren't Christian. And the Siberians especially, they were the ones who were doing all the torturing in Kherson. I know because my friends were tortured by them. So, you know, yeah, Russia being mostly a white Christian army, this is not true, my friend. This is not true. They have a significant percentage of non-white, non-Christian people. Some of them aren't even Muslims. They're pagans and they think torture's okay. So, yeah. Well, you know, it's like with 5 UFO. So here's the thing with the differences in equipment, right? Is the M4 a better rifle than the AK? Sometimes it's more accurate, but you know where it really lets itself down? In the mud and the filth of a trench, where it's extremely difficult to just get your hands clean to clean the fucking gun. You know, extremely difficult. So yeah. Nah, we don't ban the pederasty because the hate and ignorance is still fuel for the channel. You know what I mean? So yeah. Scrivener. I'll have to Blur 101. I'll have to have a look at it, mate. You know, I stopped doing anything academic and officey when I was 16, and I'm 43 in a couple of weeks. So yeah, 2 secs, guys. I'm just gonna grab a bottle of water. Oh no, I've got one of those nice lemonades from Georgia. Oh, fucking hell. Yeah, this company sponsor me. You're delicious. It's the nicest classic lemonade I've ever had. This absolutely lovely. Oh yeah, it's what this is my. I really want a fucking beer, but I'm not gonna have one because I'll feel like shit tomorrow. Kind of substitute now, you know. Oh yeah. How's he's not a Russian POW. He's a Ukrainian anti-terrorist Maidan veteran. Is your but yeah, he is a fucking wild man. At the end of the day, I won't tell him you said that. Does the Ukrainian army train to use the bayonet? No. Now, I'm British, and I really liked bayonets. When I first came here, I went to the trouble to get myself a bayonet. And then I realised two important things, right? One is, do you know what the easiest way to stab your mate accidentally in the back when you're all stacked up on a trench assault is? A bayonet, right? Do you know the easiest way to get your rifle caught because it's longer than you expected it to be? A bayonet. And do you know how fucking useless? Because if some, like, do you know what I'd do if someone ran at me going, ah? I'd take a step back and shoot them in the face, right? It's bullshit. The only fucking use a bayonet has now is if you're guarding a group of POWs or you're getting them to march down the road, because an encouraging prod in the buttocks is better than having to shoot one of them in the leg because they're trying it on, you know? That is the only reason to have it. Hand-to-hand weapons, I mean, I used to have these little cold steel counterattack knives. They're only about that long, but I had like 3 of them, you know, and a pocket knife. So if anyone grabs me from any angle, I've always got a little spike to, you know, to do that with basically. But yeah, bayonets, no one fucking bothers with them, basically. Yeah, drones being used against Ice Valley, drones being used against Kevin Baldoon. Well, I'm not drinking at the moment, mate, but you can always donate some money to the PayPal. It's if you go off the live stream, look in the pinned comment on like any of my videos except the shorts, and it'll be the jokopanama@gmail.com. So yeah, if you wanna donate some money, but also, yeah, like I said, Brit over at the Ukraine mission, we want to get him that thermal, so please do send some cash over to him, because he's still a frontline soldier about to go on proper recon missions, and it'll make him better his job. So I really want to support that guy. Currently, like, I could, if I had more money, I'd be buying up more stock, and I'd be paying the fucking electrician 100 quid a day just to get him in here and get it fucking finished. That's what I'd be doing right now, because I'm sick of fucking waiting for people to give me free labour, but I've got to wait 2 weeks for it, you know. What have I done there? Thank you, Blur101, for putting that up again. So yeah. Have you come across any of the 90s Australian bush? I wouldn't know how to tell the difference. I wouldn't know how to tell the difference. I have seen Abrams and other tanks on transports when they were going into that winter counter-offensive we did down in Zaporizhia. I saw tanks going in them, but we basically didn't have any fucking armoured vehicles in Kherson City, because why? You know, they'd just get seen on the street. I'm gonna tell you, I'd fucking hate to be in an MRAP. They fall over and they're massive and you can't park them under a tree. The only time I'd like to be pulling up in one of them is literally assaulting a trench under fire. The rest of the time, give me a Toyota Hilux and a few extra body armor panels for me to like tape and screw into the doors, and I'll be happy with that, because it's quick, it's small, I can park it under a tree, you know, all that kind of stuff. The key, the best armor in the world is them not knowing you're there. What's the oldest gun I saw someone use? Hey, Drugoslav, how's it going, man? Our recon guys bumped a house in the middle of the night on Potemkin Island, and they were Spets. They were a mixed VDV and Spets team, and one of the Spets guys had a original AK-47, like from 1949 production, that he was still rocking. Obviously a personal choice, but yeah, it was They're lovely, actually. They're lighter than the AKM. They're lighter than the AK-74. Decent. Nothing wrong with it. Have the Polaroid sunglasses help with my headaches, Stephen Webb? Yeah, a bit. Like, it's still, I don't think I could do half an hour in a supermarket, but I can manage like 5 or 10 minutes to go in if I remember my sunglasses. If I don't have my sunglasses, I literally can't go in the supermarket, which is, yeah, it's coming to terms with this and learning to adjust to this and remembering to bring me sunglasses. It's not been great realizing I'm fucking disabled over the last couple of weeks. No, it hasn't been great for me, but fortunately I gave up on the importance of being happy years ago, Hello, Australia. Nice to see you, James. Is it true for some way to the front that every single Ukrainian gas station is targeted by Russia? Yes. When I arrived in Kherson years ago now, they just repaired an Okko there that had been blown up by the Russians and killed a couple of the staff. All the gas stations in between Kherson and Mykolaiv were blown up along the road. They blew up an Okko that they rebuilt in between Kherson and Mykolaiv recently. Yes. But yeah, they're blowing up gas stations. They're not blowing up refineries, fortunately. Gas stations you can knock up in 3 months. Refineries take 5 years, Thank you, Kevin Badouin. Appreciate it, mate. Really do. Do I have aspirin for that headaches? I mean, I tried it. Aspirin's never really worked with me. It's like, I've been trying not to, but I should. I should start taking ibuprofen. But the problem is, like, everything's a compromise, isn't it? Like, will ibuprofen help with the pressure in my head? A little bit. But will it cause me stomach problems if I'm taking it every day? Yes. Do I already have stomach problems for eating shitty food in the army for a couple of years? Yes. So, yeah, nothing's a fix it and there's no other problems. Once this is over, what do you think I'll do? Die, hopefully. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to have a pleasant old age with my health. So, yeah. I wonder if data centers will be the strategic target of future war. Yes, they will. Definitely. Definitely they will. Benzinga, 1951 Syrian Army K. Cool. Oh, let me scroll up again, see what your answers are, see what your questions are. Well, Alina Siv, since I've mentioned my increasing health problems, I've had a couple of people contact me, and I'm sure they mean well. Perhaps they are really, really high-end sources of help. But the problem is, have you ever noticed, if you say you're sick in any fucking way, there's like 20 people who've got some like, hey, you don't do that. You need a juice cleanse. Hey, you need green clay from China. Hey, you need to go to my friend's meditation retreat and that'll fix anything. And all I've got to say to all of this alternative healthcare stuff is Steve Jobs. Steve fucking Jobs, yeah? He had all the money in the world for all the alternative fucking healthcare systems and he died of cancer because he didn't go to a proper fucking hospital. So, yeah, I'm just going to go to a proper fucking hospital, basically. I've got no interest in having to trust someone who's doing like alternative fucking medicine with my brain. No, basically. So yeah, if it didn't fix Steve Jobs, it's not going to fix me. Well, Zelensky might be a clown, but he just blew up a train full of North Korean missiles and soldiers heading for Russia to use on Ukraine. Hilarati. So yeah, you know. Yeah, turmeric and ginger enema, you know, that'll cure you of cancer. I mean, at least it'll hurt so much that you won't be bothered about the cancer anymore, you know. Well, berries. Have I tried an anti-inflammatory diet? I eat fish about once a week, and the berries. It's blueberry season in the Carpathians at the moment. I think blueberries are like the wankest of the berries when you buy them in the supermarket. You know, the big fat ones, but real blueberries are like smaller than a pea and taste amazing. And all the kids and the locals just go and like they have the like scoops with like a comb on the front and they scoop them up. So one of the guys just dropped me off 5 kilos of blueberries the other day. So yeah, I've been eating. My current favourite treat is this fancy Georgian lemonade and a bowl of blueberries with cream and a little sugar. That's helping me feel less miserable when I can't have a nice relaxing beer at the end of the day because it'll make me feel like shit. 0% Guinness. The only 0% beer I've ever had that I thought was okay was Beck's, actually. I lived in Germany for years, and every brand of beer has a non-alcoholic beer in Germany, and most of them are terrible. Like there's a great German brewery from up Hamburg way called Störtebeker, who was a famous German pirate. And the Störtebeker beer is the best beer in Germany, in my opinion. But the non-alcoholic one tastes like liquid cornflakes, which is not good. Cornflakes are not meant to be liquid. Stuart Tranter. Well, you're right, Stuart. The stuff the Americans have is very expensive, but there are comparable systems that are way cheaper and just as good. If you've ever seen a little clip or whatever, or even on a film of US Special Forces, and they've got this like little beige box on the front of the rifle, and that's like the infrared flashlight and the laser and all of that. $36,000 those things cost. You can get something that does exactly the same fucking thing for about 1,500 quid to £2,000. So, you know, just because it's past American trials and stuff like that doesn't mean there isn't other things out on the market that can do the same thing. Also, I don't like those 2 or 4 lens night vision, because if you're driving with them and suddenly a car comes around the road with its high beams on, or someone points a torch at you, you are fucking blind now, son. Like, you take them back up and all you're going to see is black swirls. Whereas if you've just got a monocular and something with light comes towards you, you just shut that fucking eye and you've got another eye working normally. That's what I prefer personally anyway. I haven't done much in-house room clearing, but yeah, you know, imagine that. You go into the fucking house to shoot the people and one of them just turns the light on. You're all blind now. That's how physics works, you know. Sorry about that. Gross, aren't I? Oh, you had a mate in SBU Alpha who was shocked when I told him the cost. Well, the thing with the javelins are ridiculous. Like, I mean, at the start of the war, they were doing what they were meant to be doing, right? Which is javelins were there. So when we didn't have enough tanks and the USSR tank armies stormed into Germany, the javelins were there as like a last line of defense, you know, for when we don't have enough tanks to fight the enemy. So then they were brilliant. But I think on flat trajectory, it's like 2.8K, and in top attack mode, so it goes up and down, it's the top attack, it's 1,800 meters. It's really short. A 12-inch wire-guided FPV weighs less, costs less, can carry just as dangerous a munition, and goes 10 times further for £2,000. 2 grand versus 100 grand. Why have javelins anymore? Just have wire-guided FPVs. You know, much simpler. Oh, good. I'm glad your dad recovered from his TBI, Ben. But yeah, sadly, mine have been a case of hundreds of relatively small ones as opposed to one big one. So I have what you may call complications, you know. Oh yeah, the Yanks will find a way to claim credit for this war. It's like a while ago, Chris Cappy, a good channel, and Justin Taylor, they made some programs about how there'd been an SAS contingent in Ukraine and how there was a CIA contingent in Ukraine, and it's like, yeah, sure. What like 50 of them all together? Yeah, they aren't doing anything more significant than what the fucking Yukis are doing. They're probably there just to like help disseminate intelligence received from satellites and stuff like that because they're much more used to looking at it than the Ukrainians would be. So yeah, I doubt they're actually sneaking around. I 100% guarantee that there's no SAS or CIA operatives sneaking around Ukraine or Russia, garroting people and shooting them with silencers. No, the fucking isn't. They're there doing desk jockey work, which is probably really, really, really useful and much more useful to us in the war effort than another guy with a fucking fancy silence gun. You know, guns don't kill people, intelligence and bombs and technology do. You've got a point there, Ave 7786. You've got a point. Well, that's the. I am. Yeah, I am quite worried about what happens if Farage gets in for the likes. I mean, I don't care about myself too much. You know, I'm 43. I'm already dead. You know, I'm already fucked. So I don't care. But for young lads like Britt and the other guys who are over here serving, and people like Harley who's just had a baby and or just about to have a baby, I fucking hope that's been announced. But yeah, then I really do fucking hope that that they're not going to have any problems in the future if reform get in and stuff, you know. But that, yeah, it worries me. But you know, whatever, for me personally, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Whatever happens to me, I've achieved what I wanted to in my life. Is Reform UK really pro-Russian? I wouldn't say they, as a party, they officially are, but like there's definite solid links with Farage taking money from the Russians, and the fact that the like a lot of their supporters have been outspokenly against people who are serving in Ukraine. Yeah, I would say very much so. You know, the reforms a bunch of crooks who are trading on on the fact people don't want there to be so many immigrants and refugees in the UK to fulfill their own ends. You know, they've got no interest in helping the working people of the UK. They just want to keep their Cayman Island money. Farage does not support. Farage supports his fucking self. Well, Marino, I never really knew what I wanted to achieve in my life, but I remember when the war broke out, I remember having this thinking back to when I was 13 and looking out of my bedroom window at the multiple permanent flames in the sky from the heavy industry and thinking, I do not want to live here. I do not want to work here. I do not want to die here. What I want, because I was reading a lot at the time, I want to lead a life that's worthy of the story. And I have, you know. In some ways, I've managed to make myself a little bit main character, so I've achieved that, you know. I've got enough fucking Russian dead for a skull throne when I get to the afterlife. So results, you know. But you know, the thing I've always been motivated by is living up to your principles. And living up to your principles and doing the right thing does not in any way come hand in hand with happiness. In fact, doing the right thing is normally uncomfortable and rewardless at the time, and you might even get shit for it. The only reward you get for doing the right thing is months and years later when you build up enough cumulative respect. And sometimes you don't even get that. But you knew that you did the right thing, you know? Like, why did I rescue the dogs the other week? Because it was the right thing to do. I didn't want another dog. It's a pain in the arse. It cost me money. But it's the right thing to do. And now I like my new puppy. You know, so yeah. Patty Malarkey. Well, I'm not sure if I know who that is, but hello, Patty Malarkey. I'm well, and I hope you're well too. Yeah, it does make me sound a bit like a raving nationalist, but I believe the British Empire did a lot for the world anyway. I mean, look at everywhere that got colonised and how they're doing now. Well, all right, Africa's a bit of a mess, but, well, not all of it. Like Kenya and South Africa are arguably doing a lot better than other African countries. And Australia and Canada and New Zealand are all doing fucking great. So, and India and Pakistan, who've got like a British legal system because of us. So, yeah, you know, and plus when all that was happening, the technological balance of the world when the British Empire existed was muskets and wooden ships and cannons. And certain nations, like the Chinese and the Indians and the Arabs, had gunpowder and cannons for hundreds and hundreds of years before the British turned up to force them to buy opium, and they lost. Now, why is that? Well, because Chinese arms development, for instance, focused on fitting as many dragons onto the barrel as you could. And European firearms development focused on making them easy to use. So, if a few hundred sick guys in wooden ships sail thousands and thousands of miles to your country and you lose to them, well, it's not really our fault today that your ancestors were bad at war, is it, China? So there you go. That's what I think about. Every country that could use its army to expand was at the time. We just happened to be quite good at it. And we were good at divide and conquer, you know? Well, there were lots of Indians. Yeah, we didn't conquer India with British people. We conquered India with other Indians who were not happy with the status quo. Indian nationalists don't like talking about that now, but we certainly didn't conquer India with skinny, pasty, sick, had smallpox previously redcoats from Bolton and London. We didn't. We conquered it with other Indians. Well, I don't think we can be blamed for Trump. He's the only one of your presidents who's not actually related to our royal family. Well, I don't think Obama was either, but yeah, you know, but George Bush, all of them are fucking the wasps, mate. White Anglo-Saxon Protestants, every English president. And most of the people who set up America were like minor aristocrats who weren't set to inherit, you know, and England had a very small population, so pretty much everyone is in some way related to the royals if you go back 600-700 years. So yeah, we're not responsible for Trump. Really? Obama's got a bit of British royal gene as well. Well, yeah. Good to know that the great plan still holds together. I mean, I can't say I'm particularly I like English culture and I like some English people, but you know, I don't want to go home. It's expensive and shit. basically. And over here, you can have a reasonable conversation about your war service without people just being like horrified or scared of you. And that's exactly what I got when I was back in England. People were just horrified and scared of me, despite the fact I wasn't drinking and on like really in a good mental place. So yeah, I don't want to go home to be treated like have a few people buy me drinks for a few weeks until they've heard the story twice, and then everyone will whisper behind their hands about me for the rest of the life. Fuck off. Do you know what I mean? My home's here now. All my friends are heroes. They all do cool stuff. Lewis, I am from up north. Sort of. A bit of a plastic scouser, but yeah. What do you think of Canada being the 51st state? I don't think the Canadians are very keen on it. And I don't think the American military would be very keen to enact that mission either. Yeah, Is Michelle Obama a man? No idea. Fucking hell. Hello, Philadelphia. Hello, Phil. That's nice. I appreciate it. Russians, well, Ukraine, if you're saying Russians are as white as Ukrainians, let's again go into some figures here. Muslim population of the UK, 6%. Muslim population of Russia, just under 20%. Vast portion of the Russian army is from the satellite federation states, Kazakhstan, Siberia. So a lot of them are Muslims and pagans. As I said before, I know because my friends were tortured by them in Kherson. And you may have noticed that Russia's got absolutely no problem recruiting guys from Syria and various African states to come and kill white Christian people in Ukraine. So the idea that this is a brothers' war is someone who's been sadly misled through Russian propaganda. But yeah, I personally don't have a problem with someone being Muslim because I don't care what imaginary friend you've picked to tell you how to be a good person, because I'm an atheist. I don't care. Religion doesn't mean anything to me, really. And yeah, the idea that Christianity is some bastion of good in the West is like, well, you've got a very extremely cherry picking memory there. You know what I mean? Like those, cesspits full of dead babies in Ireland and in Canada from the when they used to take the babies off the mothers who'd had a kid out of wedlock. Yeah, that was Christianity, chucking babies into a cesspit in Ireland and chucking the Indian babies into holes in the ground in Canada. Yeah, that's Christianity. Catholic Church, biggest boy fucking club in the world. That's Christianity. Yeah, all the priests, even if they're not Catholic, being nonces in the UK. I mean, like a lot of them. Yeah, that's Christianity. I don't give a fuck. I might have been a chaplain. They made me a chaplain because I'm good at talking to people. I stay calm in a crisis, and they wanted to give me a free car. That's why. But the whole thing of like this is a war between two white Christian nations. It's like the demographics of Russia and the demographics of the army are indeed not white and Christian. So there you go. And plus the fact during the USSR, a lot of the satellite countries really desperately tried to take hold of the faith, and the fucking what was I saying then? So yeah, the Russians really didn't as much hold on to Christianity. So there's a lot more atheists in Russia than there is in Ukraine. There you go. Paid money though for what? Alexander Koloduzo. Yeah. I figured the average Russian population is probably like the British population. Like we get married in church, but we don't go. And if you're friends with the priest, and your perception of the priest you mate is he's probably a nonce. So yeah. You still going overseas? I am overseas. Joel Key, unless you're asking that to someone else. I am in Ukraine right now in the Carpathians in my workshop where we make bombs for the army. So yeah. Good night, mate. Have a good evening in Scotland. MM7 WAB booze modular. But yeah, have a good evening. Sorry for keeping you from the missus. Appreciate it, mate. Amber waves of grain. What doesn't seem like an active war? Oh, mate. Oh, treatment. Oh, Joel Keys. Yeah. So I've said this on the stream earlier. Basically, I'm missing one little green stamp in my army book, which I have been trying to get resolved for like a year now. And apparently it will get resolved quite soon, but it isn't resolved yet. And that means I'm not entitled to go to any of the treatment things that are laid on by the government for combat veterans. So great, you know what I mean? I can go and get treatment at the local hospital and stuff like that. But yeah, it's yeah, that's why I'm not in Latvia right now. I've been thinking of the specs from the barrel side of the M79 but 70. Well, there's a China Lake pump action version of that, isn't there? Have I been injured severely? A786. No, I got multiple times, like well over 100 times, where I was close enough to an explosion to feel the blast, feel the heat. And there was only the fact I was in a ditch or a trench or behind a wall saved me. And that has basically fractured my skull hundreds of times with microfractures that are now filling with scar tissue, which causes my skull to shift. I mean, I can literally hear it and feel it moving on high pressure days sometimes. Or if I like drive over the mountains, you know what I mean? So it gets high enough that your ears pop. And yeah, that's causing me to not really be able to go into the supermarket under LEDs and fluorescent lights now and getting instant migraines and being knackered all the time and having a headache all the time and not being able to focus on me writing or remember what I was doing 5 minutes ago. So yeah, I'm fucking mentally disabled now. It's yeah, 2 years after I've left the army, it's caught up with me. So well, a year and a half. So yeah, not great. Love your work. What military jobs are available for foreigners over the 50? Technically, all of them. Unless you're fit, unless you can speak primary school level Ukrainian, and unless you've got over here and done yourself some drone courses, then you're going to struggle to find a job. You would find it much easier if you did a couple of drone courses and tried to focus on the technician side of things, but you will still need to know how to fly. And then got yourself as a drone tech with, say, the unmanned systems forces. You'd be on about 70,000 a month, which is like just under $2,000. It's not bad, you know what I mean? It's more like $1,700, something like that. Someone work it out. 70,000 hryvnias. What's that in dollars? But yeah, that's you could definitely get a job as a drone tech. But if you are trying to get a job as an assault trooper or something like that, probably ain't gonna happen, bro. You know, they just don't want Western granddads getting killed. It looks bad. It looks bad in the papers, and that's the sort of thing officers care about. Oh, Captain Picard, you got an IFAC. Excellent. Good stuff. I hope you're practicing with the tourniquets. Well, thanks, Ave. I mean, I'm doing all right. I feel quite proud of myself that, I took 6 months off, didn't do anything when I left the army. I got drunk in Odessa for a bit, tried living in Kyiv for a few weeks, and then Operation Spiderweb happened and it was getting blown to shit all the time. I'm like, and I was drinking too much in Kyiv. So I'm like, this isn't very restful. So I went to the mountains and I took a few more months to kind of get myself together. And then I decided to set up a munitions factory after seeing another one in the area. And I'm like, oh, we could copy that. So yeah, a year out the army, I've managed to set up a factory that's almost commissioned, that should be making a couple of thousand bombs a month, which is going to have an actual percentile difference on the battlefield. You know what I mean? Like a few thousand extra bangs a month is going to make a difference. That's potentially a whole battalion that this workshop can assist in killing every fucking month. So I'm all right. I'm quite proud of myself. I just wish that my health was gradually getting better and not suddenly and dramatically getting worse. But we're all going to die one way or the other. None of us know when it is or how. So what's to worry about? Delicious. Highly recommend. Mercury. Fuck it. Well, I actually saw something about the drought in England the other day, and fucking hell, it looks bad. But I was thinking about, what would you do? What can we do to ensure the British farmland isn't going to become useless in the summer? And I think there needs to be a massive canal and artificial lake digging project. And we can call it the Great Works, like a proper Victorian project. Ultimately, that's the only kind of thing that's gonna provide food security for the nation. Is a huge canal digging project. Basically, canals and ditches, and stuff like that. So yeah, we're gonna have to dig, like in Morocco, up in the mountains where they grow all the weed. Every little house has got a massive 10-meter deep fucking pond they've dug for the plants, and people need to start thinking like that. People need to start. Farmers used to have ponds for watering crops and livestock, the purpose of, but machinery meant that a lot of those ponds weren't needed, got filled in. So we need to start digging ponds again. We need to start digging canals again. We need to start digging lakes again, or we're gonna realize that the summers of the past, where you only get 2 weeks fucking sun, are a thing of the past. Is there a need for heavy equipment auto mechs in the armed forces of Ukraine? Asked Surfer Des. Yes, there is, but again, unless if you can't speak Ukrainian, you're going to have a hard time getting on with these Ukrainian guys who, like Ukraine is a second world country, which means the poor, which means you learn how to fix things when you're growing up. Every Ukrainian I know can fix a car. Every Ukrainian I know knows something about domestic electrics, how to do a basic carpentry job, how to lay a brick, how to mix concrete. Every single Yuki I know knows that stuff because there was no one to fucking do it for them, and their dads couldn't afford to pay anyone, so they did it themselves. So, there's a lot of people who can fix a fucking Kamaz or fix a tank here, so again, no language. You might be the best fucking mechanic in the world, but if you can't speak it, if you no hablo español, no bueno robota, Yeah, as Captain Picard says, hit the like button, leave a comment once the stream's over, send me some money to the PayPal, start an OnlyFans, and support me through that, whatever you need to do. Wales already sends water to Blighty. Oh God, is that about the one village that was a coal mining village that got built in the 1850s that got drowned out? Yeah, England did that to several of their own villages, but yeah, sore subject with the Welsh that is, so I won't get too combative about it, but it's yeah, well, they don't do that to their own lakes. Yes, we do. They don't do that to their own villages. Yes, we did. 3 of them, not 1, 3. So Beast Hive, only bombs account created. I like that, mate. I like that. Mixing concrete and stealing mofas and bikes when drunk. Mofas? Mofa is a Ukrainian or more Hutzal word, which basically means witch, like wise woman of the village who knows about herbal medicine. So yeah, I think you probably meant mopeds or something there, but the idea of some gopnik running off with a babushka under his arm is quite amusing to me. And yeah, Abe7786 is correct. Yeah, and yeah, Stuart Tranter. Yeah, like canals are a great bit of the infrastructure we have in the UK, and they also are great for nature. They also provide something that you can fucking walk along with your family. So yeah, we would lose X% of farmland, but if that farmland becomes a fucking dry, sandy desert in the summer anyway, it doesn't matter, does it? So yeah, we really like the idea of there being a huge national canal lake digging project would be brilliant. It's the only way that we're going to save British farmland and prepare our country for the climate change of the future, you know. But you know what I mean? They've always got money for shit like HS2 and whatever. They've always got money for that. But yeah, will they have money to like, you know, employ fucking 10 or 20,000 people to go around digging canals? Then no, probably not, you know, sadly. Again, staying in Ukraine, mate, like fucking yeah. And yeah, canals are nice to look at. You can fish in them. They encourage wildlife of all sorts. Have I met a real Gopnik? Well, Gopnik just means thief, and traditionally they're like hard base. And yeah, I have. We beat the shit out of a Gopnik in Kharkiv in 22. This cunt had a big fucking wolf tattooed on his neck. And one of the lads went off to buy cigarettes from him because some of the guys had bought cigs from the other day. And next thing, he's taking this one soldier around the corner. And a few of us are like, hang on a sec, he's just gone round the corner with him. And we went round and the guy had a fucking blade out and he's trying to get one of our lads to hand over the money over. One of the lads just fucking, I think it was a fucking boot he had, I can't remember, but he threw something and just fucking hit this lad in the side of the head, and we all stamped the shit out of him. And then the police came over and we explained the situation. They shook our hands and gave us the rest of the cigarettes he had in his bag. Result was a damn good hide in that one. Oh, yeah, great days, you know. Sometimes it's just as satisfying to give someone a fucking beating it is to blow up a bunker full of Russians, you know what I mean? It's all about context. Hello, Chuff. Hello, mate. One of my mates from when I grew up there. Good to see you again, mate. Well, yeah, there is no Navi worker ethic left in the UK, you're right, but fortunately JCBs and diggers exist these days, you know, and yeah, but I do genuinely hope that we build some canals in the UK, because seeing my green and pleasant land look like fucking Spain is upsetting, you know. So yeah. Did I miss any good questions back there? Oh yeah, we do have tens of billions for what? Do you know where our the Prince of Wales and the Queen Elizabeth got welded up? They got welded up in Scotland, and all the guys who did the welding on those jobs were fresh out of prison, and they'd done the 2 week welding course inside prison, and then they went directly to Scotland, where they're in this little fucking town where there's no one else, and they welded up these aircraft carriers, and that's why they don't work. You know, we also built them so they'd be diesel engined, but so maybe in the future we could drop a nuclear reactor into them. So they're kind of a dual system, but all the bits for the one system that's nuclear isn't there. So it's yeah, it's a fucking they're a fucking mess. You know what I mean? I think the Queen Elizabeth or both of them were in New York getting fixed by the Yanks because, you know, in all fairness, they do actually know how to build a decent warship over there. And they've still had problems. So yeah, the British, it's like British military procurement is a joke. Like, did you hear about the boats the Navy got? And they got some fucking part from China that's sending a little heartbeat signal that just says this thing is on and it's here. You know, great. Here's an idea, MOD, buy fucking Ukrainian drones. Yeah? Instead of some fucking startup in Portsmouth that, you know, the guy who runs it went to fucking Eton with the officers. Yeah, just buy fucking Ukrainian drones. Let's not have another fucking SA-80 debacle. Let's not have, I mean, okay, we did get the Lynx helicopter right, but we could only afford like 20 of them. If we'd bought the fucking Black Hawk off the Yanks, we'd be much better off. But yeah, you know, so yeah, British military procurement is a fucking joke, you know. I remember this British lad, I'll call him Kale because it's not quite his real name, but he was an officer candidate school guy, and I got put with him in Curse. What a wanker. What a rude, arrogant wanker who shit his fucking pants the first few days under artillery, and I had to comfort like a scared child. And he used to bang on at me because I've never finished British Army training. He was an officer cadet. Like I was scum and I had no experience. I'd already fought in that war for 8 months at that point. And yeah, he was adamant that everything British was the best, right? The worst shovel you can possibly carry is the folding British Army shovel. They're heavy, they're noisy, and they break if you use them as an axe. The Soviet shovel is fucking brilliant. It's light, it won't break, and you can cut a man's head in two with it. So yeah, it's like anything, the only good bit of kit the British Army still issues is the green woolly pulley and the boots, but other armies use the same boots. They're not our boots anymore. Hikes boots are good, and so are lowers. But yeah, British Army's got shit kit. Don't know what the fuck they're on about. Corruption. Purchasing in the British Army is obviously corrupt as fuck. And yeah, we don't have enough 35s for the carriers anyway. How long I've been in the army, Billy Bassingham? I was in the 124 Territorial Defence, who became the 34th Marines for 20 months in Kherson. All of that time spent there. And I was in the International Legion in Kharkiv for 8 months. So I've got, yeah, just under 2.5 years service at the front, basically. And I was in the British Army Reserves for like a year when I was younger, but I never finished the training. So yeah, because music festivals and girls seemed well more fun than going to Afghanistan to get me legs blown off for fuck all. Have I ever had a gun? Yes, they tend to give you a gun when you're serving at the front, Billy. I've had AK-74 SUs, which is the short one. I've had AKM. I've had a couple of AK-74s, one with plastic, one with wood. I've had an M4 and I've had an FN FAL and a couple of pistols and submachine guns that were my officers that I used to carry sometimes because we were doing plainclothes work. So yeah. Do I like the movie Zulu? I love the movie Zulu. I think it's one of the greatest films ever made. It's also in full for free. If you just type in Zulu full movie, it's on YouTube right now. I normally watch it when I get really pissed about 4 times a year. So yeah, I fucking love Zulu. It's one of my favourite films. It's Michael Caine's first film. Zulu was, and yeah. It never glorifies the violence, and every time someone says something racist in Zulu, it gets counteracted straight away. So brilliant fucking film, ahead of its time. Ponyo's offer. What's Ponyo saying? Ponyo's offer? Have I missed this? I'm pretty sure Ponyo is a DJ who I met with some Ukrainian officers when we went to the border with Moldova to pick a thing, because I remember him showing this like PlayStation symbol thing that like almost looks like the Ukrainian letters for the word Ponyo, which means it's okay. So if I am right, hello mate, hope your house over towards Moldova is going well. You're a nice guy, you were. If I'm wrong, I'm sure you're a nice guy anyway. But I can't see Ponyo's offer, whatever it was. Oh, there you go. Yeah, Ponyo 3816, did we meet in your house when I was coming back from Moldova with a drone? And what was his name? Why can't I remember my sergeant? There was one of the officers and the sergeant, and I was friends with both of them, and I can't remember their name now. Fuck's sake. Brain damage, eh? Billy Brass, I'm in the Carpathian Mountains in Ukraine right now, where I run a factory that I set up myself that makes bombs for the army. That's what I do. So if you want to support that, there's a PayPal, joecrowpanama@gmail.com. You can find it written down in the comments on any of my other videos that aren't live. And yeah, you can send me some money if you want to help me make bombs to blow up more Russians. Oh, different Ponyo. Ah, well, don't worry about it. It's a great name you picked for yourself. Everything's okay until it's not. Well, I will, like, reasons to watch Zulu while you're at war. Well, this one time, about 40,000 Russians came out of Crimea, and we didn't know where they were going. So suddenly we had 40,000 Russians that weren't there before across the river from us. And that felt like a time to watch Zulu, you know? Normally we'd go to the drone position with like one guy would take a rifle because we got a river and infantry screening. We took everything those days. Like we thought we were going to be, you know, repelling the fucking D-Day landing, but from the Russians across the Dnipro, you know. So yeah, there's a time and a place to watch Zulu, and you know, there's also a time and a place to fucking drink a little bit of alcohol in a situation like that. So yeah. Any cool herbs growing around the Carpathians? All kinds of stuff. Yeah, you'd have to come here and do it. I'm not too good at herbology, to be honest. You know, I know how to recognise rosemary and thyme, and that's about it. Because we're here, lad. No one else. Yeah, that's it. And why did he go to war? Because someone had to, you know. And yeah, I actually learned to sing Men of Harlech. Men of Harlech, stop your dreaming. Can't you see the spear points gleaming? See the warrior pennons streaming to this battlefield from the hills surrounding. Hear the war cry crowning. Answer all the Cambrian call, the mighty force surrounding. Men of Harlech unto glory, this shall ever be your story. Keep these burning words before thee, Welshmen never yield. First rank, fire, advance! Yeah, love that film. Oh, thank you, Kincho. I appreciate it. And yeah, thanks again, Captain Boucard, by reminding everyone to hit the like button and all that kind of jazz. I think they stopped doing the hype thing now because no one understood what it was. So yeah, yeah, most Victoria Crosses won in a day ever, and rightly so. Did I miss anything there while I was singing? Not quite. So, how long we been at this now? Hour and 35. What time are we on? Fucking, come on. 10 o'clock. Well, I reckon we'll go for another half an hour. And it's time to turn in for the night. Oh, my head does hurt. I'm getting really sick of it. I don't know how long I'm prepared to live like this. If I'm totally honest, I don't know how long I'm prepared to live like this. I'm in pain all the time. I'm tired all the time. I'm sick all the time. I just want to get this factory done. I have no idea what the crown is next to your name. I don't give people them. I think it just automatically does it if you comment a lot. So there you go. I have no moderators, no admins, nothing like that. So yeah. Yeah, it's a YouTube thing, but you can yeah, Twitchy dog is fine, running around great. She's twitching less. She's now just over 8 kilos. She's doing great. So yeah, the dog's fine, Onesock's fine. So everything's good basically. So if anyone's got any questions about me, my life, the war in general, Ukraine as a country, all that sort of stuff, feel free. Drugoslav, no, there isn't. If I put sunglasses on when I start to get the worst of it, it lessens it. But I've still got a background 10 beers hangover all the fucking time, even though I haven't been drinking. Like I said, I had 4 beers last night because Harley from UAEOD visited me, and I feel like shit today. And I needed a 5-hour nap this afternoon because I had 4 beers last night. That's what I'm like now. Any suggestion for the Baltics? Never been, mate. What do I miss food-wise from the UK? Chocolate hobnobs, brown sauce, Yorkshire tea. I have lots of Yorkshire tea though. Crumpets, decent cheddar cheese, but I can get decent cheddar cheese if I drive 2.5 hours to Ivano and go to the big supermarket there. I miss cider. I say I'm trying not to. I shouldn't drink anymore. I don't really enjoy it when I do, but I'd love to get pissed on Old Rosie. Some Scrumpy Jack, not the clear one, a proper cloudy in a flagon cider. Ukrainians make great black pudding, so I don't miss that. I do miss English bacon. I do miss that. I don't understand why you can't get it here, but you can't. It seems that English bacon is an English thing. Yeah, I haven't been back to England, Billy, for since 2023. I have no plans to go back at all. So yeah. Oh, Abel. Well, Abel, you're ex-military, so what do you want to do? Do you want to be an infantryman, or do you want to do drones? Because they're pretty much your choices. It is possible to get other roles within other units, but it requires language skills. So yeah, I would do some drone courses like We True Gun in Ivano, for instance. You can find the website online, We True Gun, and do the drone courses. And then I'm not fighting in Ukraine anymore. I did 20 months in Kherson as a drone pilot and sapper, which means working with bombs, and 8 months as infantry in the Legion. And I did some infantry stuff on speedboats to the islands in Kherson. Now I am a volunteer and I run a factory that makes bombs for the army with the money you guys send me on YouTube. So yeah, and I've been in Ukraine. Yeah, it's like fucking over 4 years of my life now, basically in Ukraine. Still can't speak the language, but brain damage. So yeah. If the British MOD, Martin, wanted me to come and advise Mark drones, they could email me. But if I was the British MOD, what I'd be doing is going to Zelensky and going, you know, all those storm shadows we gave you, etc. We'd like 100 of your best wounded drone pilots who were released from service to and 100 of your best translators to come to the UK and teach our government how to do it properly. I imagine there's something more like that happening. But based on the exercises in Latvia, where the British Army got absolutely fucked by one Ukrainian drone team, and then they put out videos of them, like, you know, to show how good they are, of like 30 guys huddled together behind a fucking tank as it enters the town. Don't do that. Don't do that, because someone like me with a 1,500 quid drone will take all of you out, basically, you know what I mean? Those tactics, hiding behind the tank because you're scared of someone with a fucking gun. Guns aren't dangerous, mate. Bombs are dangerous. And hiding behind a tank in a nice fucking group, like the worst thing you could do. So yeah, the British military really needs to like drop its pride and change its fucking tactics. And frankly, get rid of a lot of infantry regiments. And like, if you can't fucking pass the drone courses, we're breaking your contract and you're out the army. Because we just don't need, like, the Mercians haven't been fucking deployed for like 20 fucking years now. We've got several battalions of them. Like, what the fuck are those guys doing? What use are they? If they can't learn drones, if the average infantry unit from whatever country doesn't have a drone unit and it goes up against an army that does, the one with the drone unit will fucking win. I guarantee it. So there you go. You know, we've got a lot to do, but I ain't the man to teach. You shouldn't say brain damage because people like do have brain damage, but I like do have brain damage, Billy. How old are you, Billy? You sound young. This is a adults only live stream. Yeah, well, I mean, the drone tech jobs, it's like you can be a drone tech in Azov, but you've still got to pass all the infantry stuff. You don't have to in the unmanned systems forces. Depends which branch you join and stuff like that. But yeah. We do research and development in the shop. Yeah, totally. We consult directly with the units who want our stuff, and yeah, I spent a long time on the phone with a friend of mine who I used to have an explosive like a UXO dismantling workshop team with down in Kherson, and we're making stuff for his medium strike team now, and it was a very specific design. Can't go into it, but yeah, we do stuff like that. But for actually getting out to the polygon and doing live tests with explosives and stuff, we haven't done that yet. But we do have an option to here because we work directly with the local brigades. We've got 2 local brigades that we directly work with here. So yeah. Cold smoke. I don't know anything about smoking meat, really, to be honest, but I kind of like the idea of one. I bought a freezer the other day because I'm going to buy a load of sheep tomorrow morning. I'm off to a livestock market tomorrow morning because we've fenced off the land on my mate's cabin where I stay. And I've got a cow now. And it's like, well, if we're going to keep the cow there over the winter, we can't have the cow on its own. It needs at least some other body warmth and company. So we're going to go and buy half a dozen sheep tomorrow, a ram and 5 girls, I think. One's for meat, not for cheese, because I just can't be arsed with the responsibility of the fucking milking. You know, the ones for meat don't make enough milk to that you need to milk them, that they can just deal with it themselves. You know, the other ones are cheese making sheep because they it's very popular here, this thing called Brenza, which is either made from cow or sheep, and it's like salted and smoked, and they make it up on the hills. So yeah. Oh, fucking hell. Henrik, worst of sinners, is a fucking pederasty who's been commenting on my channel for ages now. And yeah, I think at various times he's called me a Nazi and also called me a Zionist. So welcome back, you sad mad bastard. Keep writing shit. It does amuse me. Fucking... I don't think Henrik's even knows what he is politically. He's just mentally ill, you know. But a lot of people are. So, bless him, you know what I mean? But for the grace of God go you and I. So, you've got to have some sympathy. Cricket, Lurkin, feel free to expand on your question, mate. The amount of bombs we make is relevant to the size of bombs we make. So if we're making, oh no, it's in the other room. I had a little like 100-gram Mavic drop one. So potentially we could make like 3,000 Mavic size bombs that basically like hand grenade, like big hand grenade size bombs. We could make like 3,000 of them. If we're making stuff for the medium strike campaign, it's probably going to be more like 750 to 1,000 that we could make a month. But each one of those medium strike bombs can blow up a lorry full of fuel, troops, water, you know, and cut off Crimea from fuel and water, which is one of the key ways that we can strategically win this war. By making Crimea a place that humans simply can't live. So they have to leave, you know, because there's no water and there's no fuel. It's very hot in the summer, very cold in the winter, that place. So yeah, and that's what I'm much more enthusiastic about. I mean, it's necessary that we keep on killing the infantry, but I don't gain any pleasure from it anymore. I can't watch those videos of one guy getting cut down in a field by an FPV. I know they signed up to kill Ukrainians, and I know that they made those choices, and now they're fucking around and finding out, but it's still, I've done too much and seen too much. But blowing up lorries and bridges and oil refineries still gets me fucking hard at the end of the day. So yeah, that's what I'm enthusiastic about. But somewhere between 3,000 and 750, depending how big the bobs are. But to kill like one little bomb from a Mavic can kill 4 guys at once, or it can wound 1 guy. Probably 2 bombs on average per Russian soldier. But then again, you know, there's ones where you fucking stick the FPV into the bunker and take out 12 guys in one go, you know? So how long's a piece of string? Is unfortunately the answer to that. Yeah, and thank you, Blair. Yeah, you know, there's no, you know, sometimes you hear about the, like, I made a video talking about this 2 years ago, and the Russians were making a big deal. They've conquered this village, and this village. And if you look at the map, these are just like villages that were built, right, after the Second World War for agricultural workers. They didn't exist before, and when the right technology came around, which meant they didn't need as many agricultural workers, they became abandoned. So, you know, actual places worth taking are like things on a crossroad, things on major roads with fucking concrete buildings and industry and stuff like that. Fucking village in the middle of the nowhere, population 5, doesn't achieve anything, you know. Yeah, I'm out here, full stop. No desire to come back to England except to renew my passport, you know. Maybe go and extract some inheritance out of my god-awful family at some point, you know. Extract being the word. But yeah, I had Drizzy UF for the win. Yeah, I have. Like, there's a couple of mountain passes over here that get high and steep enough to make your ears pop, and every time I have to do that drive, it's like, oh yeah, okay. And instead of my ears popping, I can hear like all the little cracks in my head pop instead, which is it hurts and it's not pleasant. So yeah, well, it doesn't hurt, but it feels weird and you know, there's a difference between pain and really weird, uncomfortable feelings. You know, like a funny bone isn't technically pain, is it? You know, and it's just like weirdness heightened. You know, so yeah. And no, I don't have a wife, Billy Bassington. And yeah, while I would quite like some sex and a cuddle, I don't think that I have it in me to have enough patience to be a good partner anymore. Because one of the things about having the head injuries is it makes me kind of snappy. So yeah, and women and children are wonderful, but also stressful. And I don't cope well with stress at all now. And I don't want to be a bad partner and a bad father, so I've decided to condemn myself to being single and the occasional shag, basically. And yeah, I have enjoyed this life. You know, it's been I've achieved what I wanted to do in life, which was you know, live by my principles and lead a life worthy of a story, and I have. But you know, there's more. Living by your principles is the pursuit of living by your principles. It isn't the pursuit of happiness. So yeah, there's things more important than happiness. Happiness is for summertime and festivals. You know, the main thing about life is doing the right thing, to my opinion. And no, I've got no children. I did try and have a child with a woman once, and she miscarried after like 4 months, and then she got postnatal depression without the baby, and a year later we split up, and it was the worst thing that ever happened to me. I was actually happy then for a bit. But yeah, and then COVID happened, and then the war happened. So yeah, nothing's been great for me since 2018, really. What's my real take on Israel and Palestine? I know as much as anyone who watches the news. I had Palestinian friends when I was living in Berlin. I've got an Israeli friend as well who's been fighting over there. He met me at the airport and said to me, wow, I've got to go back to Israel to join the army. But there was no war then, right? October hadn't happened. So he's like, I'm just going to be folding blankets for 2 years. I really respect what you're doing. We should stay in touch. And next thing, the poor bastard's doing fighting that I mean, he's not been under the artillery fire that I've been, but he's been fighting down tunnels and stuff like that. So I don't have a horse in the race. I think there's been so much horribleness on either side now that like, I kind of don't care, if I'm honest. I kind of don't care. That bit of land's been in conflict for like 2,000 fucking years, and signal. We lost the signal there, but yeah, that bit of land has been in conflict for like thousands of years, literally, with barely a break. So I don't think it's going to fix itself, and nothing I say is going to. It'd be nice if everyone was nicer, wouldn't it? You know what I mean? What was I up to before in England? Normal bloke. Worked a bit of construction, worked doing festival management sometimes, did a bit of security, used to work on the bar before I did security, ran my own business in Glastonbury, making swords and knives and blacksmith stuff with 3 other guys working under me. Had a ginger syrup business when I lived in Berlin, you know, somewhere between a construction labourer and a failed entrepreneur. You know what I mean? I put it like this: if it was 2018 and I still had the really, really cool, like I had a company that made swords and knives, I had a smoking hot girlfriend who was carrying my baby, and I lived in a beautiful place with a historic view that I'd always wanted, I wouldn't have come to Ukraine then. But it wasn't 2018. And things weren't going fucking wonderfully me anymore. So my principals allowed me to come to Ukraine. So there you go, you know. Any plans with Lindybeige? Well, I kind of feel until I get the bomb workshop commissioned or maybe like rejoin, I kind of feel we've reached the end of everything we need to talk about with the interview and stuff. But me and Lloyd still talk, and he is still the editor for the book that I keep trying to write and failing at. So yeah. Finn versus history? No, I haven't. Haven't seen Finn versus history, but there were quite a lot of blacksmiths in Glastonbury. There was this one guy called Sam Smith who was literally a fucking giant, right? I once watched Sam move a 500-pound anvil, so close to 250 kilos, with one hand, like a meter, you know? But he's thick as shit. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's literally like Hodor, but verbal, basically. So yeah, there is some strange blacksmiths down there. Yeah, in all fairness, Lloyd does get a lot of shit that he hasn't got Hannibal out. But like the guy who was doing, the guy who does the drawings is kind of I wouldn't say the problem, but like he had a car crash and was really badly hurt. So like delayed things by, it was like a bad car crash. He nearly died. He had like surgery on his skull. So that took a couple of years out of cycle. And now he just kind of isn't quite as prompt at getting the drawing done as he should. So it's definitely not all Lloyd's fault. Lloyd isn't the illustrator. And yeah, Billy, you don't have to leave the UK. Just move out of your town and go live in the countryside, you know? Go and get a fucking like job in Cornwall or something like that. You know what I mean? My accent sounds like fucking hell. Hey mate, on today. I'm trying to try and do a mix of Scouse and like Ukrainian Russian accent at the same time. I don't think I can. But I'm glad it amuses you. And yeah, I mean, it's like I lived in Bristol, right? And there's a lot of immigrants and people of different races there. It never seemed like a problem to me. Actually made the city really fun and nice. But if like Harley, you live in some post heavy industry northern town like Burnley, and the way UK immigration works is all the clever, good immigrants get a place down south, and all the ones who are like barely literate get sent to shitholes up north. That's how it works. So, like, yeah, you know what I mean? I could see how you'd fucking hate it. But like for me, immigration in Bristol was always like fine, fun. You know what I mean? Not a problem. But if I lived somewhere like Burnley, I'd probably feel very differently about it, you know? So yeah. Fucking do a Liverpool accent, mate. Can do a Liverpool accent all day long. I'm fucking hell's my port, lad. No fucking problems, mate. I can even do fucking Birkenhead if I want. I can do Birkenhead and I can change to Liverpool because it's just like a slightly different pressure in your nose. If I was with Putin in a room for 50 minutes and I could only use violence as a last resort, what would I say to him? There's no point in talking to someone like that. I'd probably, I mean, does rape count as violence? You know? What with the point? I'd just wait. I'd wait till 14 minutes 30 and then start stamping his fucking head in. You know what I mean? There's no point in speaking to someone like that. Some people just need to fucking die. They've already made the choices. They've already made the fucking choices. Do you know what I mean? That's it. You know, like it's like when I used to blow up houses full of Russians. Some of them or drop incendiaries on them once they'd already been blown up, and they were praying like that. They made the choice to come to Ukraine for money to kill people. That's it. You know, and that isn't part of the rules of surrender. You put your weapon down, you take your clothes off, except your body armor, your helmet, you put your hands up and you walk in the direction of the enemy. And if we are able to accept your surrender, we will. If we are able, you know. So, yeah, they made the choices. If you make choices like that, it's big boys games. You can't go quitsies. You know what I mean? You can't go fucking quitsies. And, you know, after the war, when everything comes to light, there's going to be loads of stories about Ukrainians shooting Russian POWs. And it happens all the time. And here's why it happens all the time. We're outnumbered. I want you to imagine the situation. You're in an infantry company. You started the month with 120 dudes. It's halfway through the month. Now you're down to 60 or 70. Some of the guys who are left are wounded, but they're still in the trench with you. You've just repelled a Russian assault and you've captured 20 prisoners, so a third your number. And you've got to detail a couple of guys to look after them. But now there's another 200 Russians coming towards you. What do you do? What do you do? You are unable to keep those guys as prisoners of war at that point. Now that might go one way or the other in court, but technically speaking, to shoot prisoners in that circumstance when you are unable to take their surrender because of the enemy's actions is legal. War isn't nice. It isn't a fucking game. There aren't rules. It's a brutal fucking scrap. And when you're defending your country and you're outnumbered, and the reason that you haven't, you know, and you've lost half your fucking mates already, you might not find yourself being too fucking considerate. You know, you might find yourself bending the rules, or you might find yourself just openly breaking the rules because you have to survive, and you can worry about the consequences later. I mean, frankly, The Hague is actually a really nice facility. You know, I wouldn't mind getting a war crimes conviction from the West because they've got tennis courts, a jacuzzi, decent medical. I've only got a war crimes conviction from the Donetsk People's Republic, and that's a shit hotel at the end of the day. So I'm kind of jealous, you know. I love where I live now, Billy. I live in the mountains. It's basically like Wales, but it doesn't rain all the time. It's like Ukrainian Switzerland where I live. You know, I can swim in a river when I want. That's lovely and clean. I drink water from a well or a stream when I want to. My cheese comes from sheep and cows that I can actually see in the valley. My meat, if I want lamb, I go and buy a sheep or I get one of the guys to slaughter one for me. You know, I live a good life. I mean, admittedly, I do shit in a bucket and I shower some times a week, but you know, I'm happy basically. I don't pay rent because the local community respects me and doesn't want to charge me rent, which is super nice of them. I'm gonna let me scroll up again. Yeah, people get their ideas on morality and what we are as humans all deeply affected by art, you know, by movies, by stories that we hear. So even I, as someone with a lot of combat experience, do sometimes find myself thinking, oh, that's not like in the films, or wow, the occasional moment where you go, wow, this looks like I'm in a film right now. Like my first time I got shot at, which was by Caliber missiles with 300 to 500 kilogram warheads, and there were these nuclear mushroom cloud fireballs coming up and the entire sky going orange like an instant African fucking sunset. That was cinematic. The Kharkiv counteroffensive, going in with columns of tanks and our fighter planes going overhead and Russian fighter planes fighting them in the sky above us and our artillery firing. That was fucking cinematic. Do you know what I mean? Being on a speedboat, racing across the Dnipro with mortars creating plumes of water on either side of you as you go to land on an island. That was fucking exciting at the end of the day. You know what I mean? And there's absolutely no way to pay for those experiences, you know? So there you go. There is some positive things you can get out of war. Appreciate it, Hamzat. Very nice of you, mate. Am I a knight? I am not a knight. No. I wonder if the Netherlands hands out knighthoods. I might be able to get one there. That government likes me more than this. They don't have knights in Ukraine, though. I don't know. They kind of do. Because I think if you get the Order of Bogdan Khmelnytsky, I think that is basically the equivalent of a knight. It's like it makes you a Cossack. I might be wrong on that. Someone explained it to me once in a pub in Kyiv and I was drunk. So, yeah. But BigMac Sigging mouth, not speedboat. I mean, like, the speedboat bit was boss. Do you know what I mean? It was even the first time they put it on the best speedboat they had that had armor and a gun on the front and everything. I'm like, sick, lad, proper sick. Go. You know what I mean? Have I ever been to France? Billy, I've been to France many, many times. But mostly, yeah, many times. But I haven't actually holidayed in France since I was about 17. But I've passed through France, either hitchhiking or whatever, loads and loads of times. Best hitchhiking garage in all of Europe. Good information, this. On the edge of the French border in Luxembourg, there's a little town called Berchem. And that has a gas station, which is right on the border. It's the biggest gas station in Europe. And anyone who's doing super long haul, like they're going from Seville in Spain all the way up to fucking Denmark or Norway, will go through that gas station. So that is like the hitchhiking hyperport of all Europe, by the way. Berchem, Berchem. When are you going to the hospital? Hamza, 22. Basically, because I don't have this stamp in my paperwork, I have to wait for the manager of the hospital, and it's a big hospital, like the chief manager of the hospital, to get back from holiday, and then I can go and get my treatment. But hopefully next week, the mobilisation office should be stamping my book for me. So yeah, maybe soon, basically soon. I should be in Latvia, getting the scar tissue scraped off the inside of my skull right now, or being assessed anyway, but I'm not, you know, because fucking paperwork. The world's run. I've often said that bureaucracy will be the death of me, and I'm quite certain it will be, you know. I don't know. Je ne parle pas le français, je suis anglais. Très désolé. But ik spreek Deutsch. Ik gewohnt Deutschland voor 5 jaar. So ik heb okay Straße Deutsch. Nicht so bisschen, nicht so viel. So ik kan spreken zum Deutsch voor de Straße. Kein Problem. Und voor normale Arbeit. So yeah, you know. Well, I'm not actually, Billy, I'm not actually a Scouser. I'm a plastic Scouser. I'm from the surrounds of Liverpool. I don't care to name the town I'm from, just because I don't like my family much, but I don't want anyone to be hassling them because of what I'm doing over here. So yeah, but I'm from the Northwest, you know, plastic Scouser. So there you go. I can slip. My grandfather and the side of the family are all from Lancashire, so I can slip into St Helens well enough if I want to. Thanks, Hamza. Yeah, I appreciate it, mate. If I'm ever going through Poland, to be honest though, Poland ain't my favourite country, because, you know, in Poland they've got a thing called drunk tanks, right? So if the police just decide you are drunk on the street in Poland, they can take you to somewhere where you get no due process and detain you for 24 hours. And it's very, very normal for them to beat the shit out of you there. And that's what happened to Harley about 6 months ago. He was killing some time, spending 50 quid in a casino before the flight. They decided he started winning, won like 750 euros. And then they decided that they didn't want to pay him that. And dragged him into a drunk tank and pepper sprayed him and tortured him for like 20 hours. So basically, like the police in that country tortured a friend of mine. So I'm going through Romania from now on. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, you've only like, well, I have served and been friends and loved some Polish guys I've been with over here. You know, I've got nothing against the people, but the government and the police, fuck that country. Fuck that country. Anyone who tortures my friend is my enemy. How do the Orc gifts compare to ours? Well, one thing about the Russians is they've got so much stock. It's very easy to turn an RPG type, and there are many different types, warhead into a drone bomb. It's like one of the easiest fiddles, right? So they always just do that. And they're not the best thing for blowing up bunkers and houses. What they're designed for is hitting something that's made of steel and creating a jet of liquidized, ionized copper that's super hot and going super fast. It'll just cut through the steel and then bounce around on the inside with the bits of steel it's knocked off and kill the guys inside. That's what armor-piercing warheads do. So they're just not very good at blowing up guys who are protected by like wood and soil and stuff like that, you know? So yeah, they just tend to go for a simpler option, whereas we have, through necessity, innovated, you know? If the Ukrainians were as lazy and uninnovative and as bound by military convention as the Russians, we would have lost by now. It's innovation and free thinking that's kept us going in this war. Do I consider myself Aryan? I'm a Celt, and I think I generally headbutt anyone in the face who describe themselves as being an Aryan. To me, sounds like fash talk to me, and I'm British, you know. Fascists and commies can all die under my fucking boot as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, it's not the far left or the far right who's hard, it's the fucking centre and people like me. That's where you get the real killers, so fuck off. Yeah, fucking Aryan, get off my channel, you prick. Cut your fucking throat. Have we ever analysed Russian equipment? And yeah. I'm trying to think with the Russian equipment, what we've... No, actually, no. I can't think of one bit of Russian equipment with drones or anything that's okay. Right, I suppose the Shaheeds, yeah? Because now our own FB2 program and that use the same fucking engine as Shaheeds. So, which are made in China, right? So, yeah, basically that is something we copied off. The Russians got medium strike fixed wing drones right before we did. So that's something we copied. Fair enough, you know. And Shaheeds and Lancets and things like that. Because our FP2 is basically a Lancet. So, yeah, you know, I suppose, yeah, we have in that sense. And yeah, and it's in fact, I'll show you something. I got a present the other day. So that's a Shaheed engine, right? And so that is originally a German designed engine that was copied by the Russians and then copied by the Iranians and is now mass produced in China. So there you go. Hamza, I've had one of the bullets in hand, and I have actually handled one of those rifles, but I didn't get to shoot it or anything. It's a novelty gun. It's a novelty gun. Yeah. I've not heard of anyone like of any stories of like a squad or a number of guys being taken out by a Russian with one, but a lot of Russians who carry them get fucking killed. They're not, you know, they're great. They're great as a trophy, but anything that's max range is 200 yards is weak sauce. Like 200 yards. Have you ever been 200 meters away from someone with an assault rifle who wants to kill you? You know what that means? Little ring will be going like that. You know what I mean? Like being 200 meters to someone who wants to kill you and has a gun is frightening. So it's much better to have more distance than that, you know? Hunter Proven. Because when you answer a troll question, what? How many FSB GRU funded trolls? We've got Henrik Worst of Sinners, but I don't think he's funded. He's just mentally ill. And then there was someone at the start, like a couple. But I actually like, you know, the good thing about, well, me at least, is I grew up in the northwest of England and I worked on building sites and I've been in the military and stuff. So I've been around a lot of banter. I'm a terrible person to talk shit to because I'm better at it than most people. I can talk shit back. So I've heard through my intelligence contacts that a couple of the fucking trolls I've had who were in the troll farms in Russia weren't doing well enough and got mobilized. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But always talk shit back to someone who's talking shit. You know what I mean? Because I'm not an idiot, so I can make an idiot look like an idiot very fucking easily. I am in Ukraine, Flimbo. I am in the Carpathian Mountains. Am I a woman? I am a strong, independent black woman and have been since Halle Berry told me I was one at the Oscars years ago. What ethnicity do I belong to in the UK? Well, I've got a Welsh great nan. I've got a Scots-Irish name. And I was born in England. So I'm a Celt, basically. I'm not one of those Southern Norman bastards, that's for damn sure. Basically French, all of them. You know, I'm a proper Englishman. With a little bit of Uzbek, Mongolian steppe people genes. I've got a little tiny bit of that, which probably comes from the Romans. So yeah. So there you go. You know, there was inter-race marriage going on in England 2,000 years ago. You know, there's like graves of fucking hundreds of black soldiers up from like Senegal and stuff along Hadrian's Wall in Scotland. Do you think they went without sex the whole 22 years of service? Yeah? Yeah. Well, the thing about being English in England, Roscoe, it doesn't happen much because we're a small country, so you can like walk over the next hill to the next town. If you're in some village in the middle of fucking Russia and all you've got is fucking cousin Oilia, then, well, yeah, I mean, some of the there's a reason so many Slavic people look the fucking same, you know, especially from the villages. But I digress. And I am in Ukraine, Ricky Bush. I am in the Carpathians, in my workshop where I make bombs from the army as a volunteer with money people send me on YouTube. Before that, I was in Kherson as a drone pilot and sapper for 2 years. And I was in the International Legion up in Kharkiv for 8 months in 22 as well. So there you go. I'm only fucking with you, Neil. Do you know what I mean? I just wanted to, you know. Where are you from, Roscoe? Are you a pedo? Are you a brave Russian lad, or are you just one of these guys who likes to support Russia because you're not smart enough to know the difference between like propaganda and fucking journalism? But yeah, just curious, mate. What happened to the Legion? Sabotage by Ukrainian officers who ran the thing from day one. Yeah, that's what happened to the Legion. The Legion could have been like Azov by now. The Legion could have been its own corps. we had so much potential. And they decided to use all these guys with like wildly diverse and highly trained skill sets as light infantry with no mechanized support. We didn't even have our own mortars. I think we didn't think anyone got mortars in the Legion till like late 23, and then only a couple. And then they wouldn't give us enough ammunition. Yeah, the Legion was willfully satisfied by the officers who ran it, I believe. Some of them were good and tried to do good things. They also made each battalion a separate battalion, which meant the overall brigade structure had no real clout to tell the battalion commanders what to do and how to work together. Yeah, but like the first commander week, well, the second technically, because the first was only around for a couple of weeks and they were all called Bogdan, which makes things confusing. But the second Bogdan, who was the terrible one who we rebelled against, he ended up, instead of getting fired for cowardice and corruption, got promoted, which is how things work in Ukraine sometimes, and got given command of 3rd unit and the 3rd battalion and stuff. But I still speak to Gary, Ukraine Frontline Medical, from time to time. I think he might be out by now. But yeah, Gary was hanging on just to make sure that all the wounded guys they had the paperwork done, and that Gary got all his paperwork done, because the Legion was under code 92, which is like the 92nd Brigade, and not the most cooperative and friendly military administration you could ever work with. So yeah, the Legion was sabotaged by Ukrainians. And yeah, we had a lot of dickheads over there as well. But guess what? When Ukraine mobilized, they just grabbed everyone. So there's like dickheads in every unit, you know. The original people of Britain were genocided by invaders. I mean, there's, what do you mean, like the Welsh, like the Britons, you know? They're still there, mate. You know. And yeah, I mean, invaders, I mean, you know, people who say things like that, I think, is anyone aware of this thing in history called the migration period? It lasted for quite a while. Read into that, you know. Read into that, because yeah, most people get the fucking history from TikTok and fucking YouTube shorts these days. Yeah, read into the migration period before you start talking about genocide and tribes and which ethnicity is actually the original people on that land and all that shite, you know. I mean, there's people in fucking Cheddar, right? They found the caveman skeleton in Cheddar. They got his DNA tested from 35,000 years ago. There's still people in Cheddar Village who are related to him. So how did the original English people all get wiped out if there's people who are related to fucking caveman still living in the same village? Sounds like some bullshit to me. Masada 1911. If I went back to Kherson after making a video saying that the brigade commander got a load of people killed by being a fucking retard, which lots of other people, lots of the families of the guys who got killed made noise about as well, when he first turned up and said, "You guys are being lazy, retake the islands." The islands are unretakeable unless you control the other side of the river. So yeah, he would probably arrange for something horrible to happen to me. So no, I'm not going back to Kherson. Plus, once you get past Mykolaiv these days, it's like, you know, four out of five chance you'll make it You know what I mean? There's cars getting blown up on the road in between Mecco and Herson all the time. So it's not like when I was there, where once you got to the checkpoint, it was more or less safe, apart from the occasional rocket or cluster bomb or whatever, you know. It's a lot fucking riskier down there now. So no, apparently the mobilisation office agreed to do it, and that's how it's going to be. So yeah, it's just been a year longer than it should have been. And fortunately, I'm patient enough to wait it out. And Gary is a great guy, Drizzy. Gary is one of the I think he is the last original. He was the last guy who was there with us at the start and stayed until the Legion ended. You know what I mean? And he was head of medical for like 50% of that time. So yeah, Gary is a fucking legend and has saved hundreds and hundreds of men's lives and created a really professional fucking system for tracking casualties and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I hope they maintain the work he did there. I doubt they will, but I hope they do. How better would the UA army have worked without idiocy and corruption? Fucking an unquantifiably large amount better, you know. The amount of guys we've lost due to pig-headed tactics, like Krinky, for instance. Yeah, let's take a little village and just give the Russians a target, which will absorb Russian resources. If we try to take Aleshki, which is a city with enough concrete buildings in that you can actually like create some bases in there, and it controls two major roads, that would have made fucking sense. Taking Krinky didn't make any sense, and it's hard to fucking put a figure on it, but like about a brigade, like a whole brigade, 6,000 men were either wounded or killed at Krinky. So yeah, spread across 4 different brigades, you know. So yeah. In 2,000 years, Britain has only been defeated by the Romans and the Normans. Yeah, that is true. You know, it is the Scots who get the claim, but the Romans, everyone knows about Hadrian's Wall. Do you know there was another one called the Antonine Wall that failed? The Romans walled off Scotland from coast to coast twice. That's how difficult the Scots were to fucking deal with. And we wiped a legion on the way back from Anglesey, you know. The Welsh dealt with that, you know. So yeah. Also, everyone always goes on about the Vikings, you know, and how great the Vikings are. I mean, it did take us a while, and we did have to pay them off a few times. But you know who beat the Vikings in battle? The British. That's who beat the Vikings in battle. So yeah. We might be weird and odd, but no one can say the British aren't fucking hard at the end of the day. Conquered the whole world with wooden ships and muskets while everyone else had wooden ships and muskets, you know. With that pansy accent, I don't think you are on any battlefields. Well, Bradley, I couldn't give a rat's ass what you think. And if you just watch some of the content on my channel, you can see videos of me dismantling bombs and being shelled in a trench and flying drones and killing people. So yeah, good luck, you know, proving me wrong when I've got all that evidence. Not really. I don't know what. I remember a mate of mine saying he went to some drone production facility in Dnipro that like very clearly was run by like the mafia. But maybe just like the American mafia decided to be patriotic in the Second World War and protect the harbors, maybe bits of the Ukrainian mafia that weren't so much run by the Russians are being patriotic now. But yeah, I don't really know. There does appear to be like quite a big problem at the front with like guys taking speed and stuff to stay awake. But while that is a problem, it also might be a horribly necessary one. You know, when you've got guys who aren't being relieved from position for 6 months at a fucking time, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, you know, and you know that they've got a big assault coming. Maybe you would drop a little baggie off for one of your mates then, you know, who knows? But I don't know about any of that. Not really. That's just speculation. Ricky Borsch, I think it's just a blag excuse for a war, completely. And the tactic didn't work very well for them, did it? You know, I think this war happened because Putin got cancer, and you know, wasps, when they get old and they know they're dying, they become vicious and they lash out. Putin wants statues of himself in Russia, like Stalin has, you know, and that's what this war's about. It's the dying need of legacy by a twisted man with a lot of power. That's what this war's about. How do you like the new CINs? Drapatsky, way better than Skursky. But what the fuck's happening with Fedorov? Why isn't Fedorov back in defense minister? What is actually the score with that? No one really knows at the moment. So yeah, frankly, I'd like Zelensky to step down and Fedorov to take his place. Fedorov and Drapati together could really smash this war. Zelensky's been a great spokesman for him, but I think he's too interlinked with all the kind of Game of Thrones shit that goes on in the Ukrainian government to be really clear. I think, you know, I think, yeah, he's got too much of an ego and likes to be the boss too much. I think Drapati and Fedorov together would be the best choices for leadership. You know, the British, we don't have any like attachment to it. It's not like the Yanks with the president, and I love my president. The prime minister's just a fucking administrator. If he ceases to be a good administrator, get rid of him, get a new one. Simple as that, you know? Yeah, I'm not attached to... I came to Ukraine because Zelensky put out the call. Gondor called for aid. We answered. But yeah, you know, I think he's tired, and I think it's time for him to hand it up. But I'd like Fedorov to run against him, because Fedorov to win an election, which is obviously very difficult because we're still under martial law, but it could be stopped and we could do it, have an online election so the army could vote. Fedorov voted in by a mandate from the people would have the necessary political crack to make the radical changes necessary. So yeah. 1.5 million Ukrainians dead or wounded. No, that's about right. That's about right. I think we're... Well, I think it's like 1.5 million Russians dead plus others wounded. So yeah, it's about 3 to 1, basically. That's the reality of the casualties. For every one Ukrainian they kill, we kill about 3 orcs. That's more or less how it works out. So yeah, I mean, seeing guys with amputees here is super common now. Every village, every town you go into, if you spend any amount of time outdoors or going to a supermarket, you're going to see a guy with an amputee. They're everywhere. So, yeah. And I am still indeed a proud, independent black woman. God bless America. You should watch that Halle Berry Oscar speech from years ago. I think she'd had a line of coke or something, and she said, all of you in the audience, all of you are all strong, independent black women. And I was sat with a girlfriend at the time. I was like, Never stopped being funny to me, that. So there you go. Fucking LGBT for the fucking win. Something like that. Fucking hell. I need to smoke less. So, guys, we've just come over 2.5 hours. It's going to be my last cigarette. So if there's any other questions you're dying to ask, please do. Please do ask me now. And then I'm going to call it a night, get the dogs in, go to bed. But yeah, I'm trying to think. Yeah, I'll do my best, but I'm fine. Do you know what I mean? If I get killed, the only thing that's going to kill me in the Carpathians is like my own health or a cow. Do you know what I mean? Like we get a shaheed over every couple of months or something like that, you know. But yeah, I will be getting some good rest soon. Come on, Peters. Have you not got any more shit to talk before we go? Keep writing those comments. Your hatred and ignorance fuels the channel. Not in the next 12 months, Ricky. It's going to take us like this summer and winter and then spring to like break Crimea. And that doesn't mean we've necessarily got boots on the ground in Crimea. We've just made it a place that has no water and has no fuel and people can't live. I mean, they might be able to sustain 30, 40,000 troops there, but the Crimean population of like probably somewhere between 1.5 to 2 million now, mostly Russians, mostly pro-Russian, won't be able to live there. So yeah, that's what we've got to do. Losing Crimea becoming unlivable, I think is going to be the loss of face to Putin that perhaps causes regime change inside Russia. So yeah, I reckon the war will actually end probably like spring 28, something like that. Actually over, done. Putin's dead or been replaced, which means he's dead. And yeah, you know, I think that's what it's going to be. Basically, but that's just my guess, you know. Do I have a plan for after finishing the war? Work on my farm here, go to Africa, hunt Wagner, you know what I mean? There's still pederasty to kill even after the war's over. What is the best drone space to be in from a business mind? There's a drone bubble. So there's hundreds of companies trying to make drones. The best space to be in from a business mind would be that you're friends with someone posh in the MOD or military who buys drones, and then they'll buy whatever shitty fucking drones you make. Because a lot of the NATO drones that they sent to Ukraine were nowhere near as good as what we were making, for instance, and had to be fitted and adapted and changed by Ukrainian techies that people like Mallory Aerospace don't want you to know about that, you know? And they only sent the drones with one fucking battery. Imagine that. It's like, oh, don't worry, we're sending you rifles to Ukraine, but they've only got one magazine each. I mean, what's the fucking point? Do you know what I mean? The Americans did that, by the way. Sent a load of M14s over. I had one for a bit. And one fucking mag. And we couldn't order them. If you want to buy an AK mag in Ukraine, you can. If you want to buy an M4 mag in Ukraine, you can. M14 mags are a bit fucking hard to get hold of, you know. So yeah, we had guys from California trying to send us over plastic ones hidden inside like a box of tinned fish and stuff like that. None of it got through. So yeah, anyway, I digress. How much is a 20 deck there, Joe? 200 Lucky Strikes are 1,400 grivna, which is about 25 quid. So yeah, cheap basically. £2.50 a pack. It's like the 90s here. Precious Talks. What shall I call you? Mac. That's my name, Mac. You can call me Joe if you want, but yeah, Mac means poppy in Ukrainian, but it's which is kind of funny. I didn't know that for quite some time. But yeah, Mac means poppy in Ukrainian, but it's just a contraction of McDonald, which is my last name. So yeah. Mac with a K, since I'm in Ukraine now, because C doesn't exist here. Yeah, the M14s might well have been from the Baltics, Cricken. Yeah, for instance, the FN FAL I had was an Argentinian FAL made under license in Argentina. So it went full chat, full auto. And that was then sold to the Bulgarians at some point who then gave it to Ukraine. So there's a British guy with an Argentinian foul in Ukraine. There you go. A lot of weird weapons we get over here. What the fuck is Alan's snack bar? What is this? Is this just trolling or is it a joke I've missed? You know, I think it's just trolling. Stop doing that, blank, or, you know. Right, what's the fucking point? But yeah, anyway. Well, I think that's the end of that now, guys. Thank you for your last questions. And yeah, you know, feel free to leave a comment once the live stream's uploaded, because that sort of helps a little bit as well. Send some money to the PayPal if you want, joecrowpanama@gmail.com, or make some more bombs from the army, and you can contribute to the murder of orcs, you know. So there you go. Anyway, goodbye everyone. It's goodbye from me, Joe McDonald at BigMacs BattleBlog. Oh, fucking hell, nearly knocked the phone over here. It's goodbye from Xenia the puppy, who's just called up in a bucket down there, so I thought I'd drag her out. And Onesock's outside, so I won't drag him in to say goodbye to you. But yeah, goodbye everyone, and as always, to our pro-Russian and Vatnik listeners, Idi nahoy zalupa.